Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Ethics and Diversity Considerations of Design Technology and Architecture, brought to you by AIA California's EDI Committee. As you get settled, a few reminders before we get started. And please say where you're joining from in the chat today. Please use the Q&A function for any questions today and keep the chat for conversation amongst attendees. Please remember to be constructive in any of those questions or comments to the presenters and to one another to ensure we have a session that is a productive and positive learning experience for everyone. There will be a live Q&A session towards the end of the webinar, but feel free to add your questions throughout the presentation to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. AIA California will submit one AIA Learning Unit for those who complete the session live. And as always, the webinar content and additional resources will be available online shortly after the session. To qualify for continuing education credit, AIA California provides the learning objectives for every webinar and includes them in the PDF presentation that can be made available online. We will provide links in the chat box where you can find upcoming and on-demand webinars from AIA California. I'd now like to introduce our moderator for today. Daniel Perez, AIA, is a California licensed architect and holds a master's degree in architecture from the University of California at Berkeley and a bachelor's science degree in design from Arizona State University. Daniel grew up in rural Idaho and has a deep appreciation and respect for the natural environment. Studying and working in metropolitan and major U.S. urban centers have informed his practice. Daniel practiced architecture for 15 years in Arizona, New York City, and the San Francisco Bay Area prior to starting Studio Perez in 2005. Daniel is currently a board director of AIA San Francisco, serving on Latinx in Architecture Steering Committee, and former co-chair of the AIA-SF Mentorship Committee, and wholeheartedly advocates for mentorship in the architectural profession. Daniel, thank you so much for being here, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. I also am wearing today, I am chair of the AIA California EDI Committee. Please join me in welcoming our guest speakers. Argelia Barcena. AIA is a board director at AIA San Francisco and is the Northwest Regional Design Technology Manager at Gensler. Across her 20 years of experience in the AEC industry, she has served as adjunct faculty for colleges in San Francisco and is an award-winning international speaker. She also serves as regional lead for the global organization Women in BIM and is chair of the Technology in Architecture Practice AIA San Francisco Knowledge Community. AIA was honored as Argelia was honored as a 2024 Most Influential Woman in the Bay Area Business. And then we also have joining us Cesar Escalante, AIA, as Autodesk Architecture Innovation Evangelist. Cesar leverages his 2-decade career at industry leaders like Gensler, HOK, and Flat Architects to champion cutting-edge technologies. A deep passion for computational design and digital prototyping complements his expertise in delivering multi-billion-dollar projects. A recognized thought leader, Cesar shares his knowledge through speaking engagements and education while actively shaping the industry through leadership roles in the American Institute of Architects. Cesar is the 2025 chair of the AIA National Technology and Architectural Practice Knowledge Community and board director of AIA San Francisco. Thank you both for being here. And I did fail to just read the topic of our conversation today is ethics and diversity considerations of design and technology in architecture. And so take it away, Argelia and Cesar.
Thank you. I just placed the share request.
You should be able to share now.
Hello, everybody. I just want to get started with a disclaimer that the views expressed are our own personal opinions based on our technology and architectural practice involvement with the AIA and also within our industry knowledge. They do not represent our employers' perspectives, and all statements, including any forward-looking ones, are accurate as of the time of this presentation. With that, let's get started. Let's talk about the future of practice. the future of practice and how it is evolving. Technology has become an integral part of current architectural practice, revolutionizing the way buildings are designed, planned, and built. As the use of AI in architecture continues to grow, it is essential to carefully consider the ethical implications that arise from its implementation. We find various uses for it. We find it useful for productivity, for automation, for consistency, for efficiency, for image generation, and predictability. There is no doubt that AI will transform architects from creative visionaries to strategic curators and managing AI-generated concepts for tailored solutions. Now, with that comes a shift. It will require architecture professionals to develop new skills. And those new skills are in data analysis, machine learning, and human AI collaboration. This will empower architects to harness AIs and every other technology tool to its full potential while also retaining our creativity and our problem-solving expertise. You might notice that there's uncertainty surrounding how architects will adapt to these advancements. We are at an inflection point with AI, though it is still in its early stages of research and implementation. You might notice that the approach is very conservative, which may equate to slow implementation. This just reflects the fact that our industry is being cautious. And as you may know, technology has many, many possible futures, and we may not know where this will end up, right? It's evolving. We're all in it together. And with that, let's talk about how this impacts many, many areas of our profession, starting with sustainable delivery. There are now tools that help us with carbon impact predictability and the efficiency of your design. There is also the inclusive public spaces area where technology algorithms can be leveraged to analyze user data and create public spaces that are accessible for vulnerable people. An example of this can be, how can we create housing for a homeless population? And how can we implement data and AI into it by analyzing the users, analyzing the use of these spaces. With data embedded into this, we can reuse, we can harness materials, harvest those, and use them for material circularity for, let's say, a period of 10 years, where these housing units can be reused. But all this wouldn't have been able without the use of data embedded into it. Now we move on to historic preservation. And also we have AI-powered 3D modeling and simulation tools that can be used to digitally restore historic buildings. And you have heard about digital twin as well. An example is the Cathedral of Notre Dame and how it burns down. Now, with all these technology tools in place, the speed at how this has been restored and recreated, preserving its historical value, is proof that these tools have really changed the way of workflows and implementation. Now we move into building codes. You might have heard that there's platforms out there that have building codes centralized in a single location, making it searchable and user-friendly for everyone. Now, I do want to emphasize that finding something in there does require further research on your part as a human to verify that the information is correct and how to apply it based on your project type and use. We also have augmented reality. As we know, AI enhances augmented reality by enabling smarter interactions within the space and a more immersive experience for users, future users, and designers. We have industrialized construction as well. That is a process aimed at improving productivity through increased mechanization and automation. Carbon reduction goal. We now have tools for early design stage and feasibility studies that allow us to analyze embodied carbon of our designs in real time. it is playing a role in mitigating the climate crisis. We have, as I said, early design approach in this example, where you are playing with methods, with the site selection, with orientation, with material selection, and how that will impact carbon. So here we have, on the left, we have an example of embodied carbon with a lower number than the one on the right. And the reason of these different numbers is because on the first one, we selected mass timber, right? And on the other one, we have reinforced concrete. You immediately see the results of the impact of the material selection for your designs. And this is really, changing how we workflows. These are transforming the way we approach carbon reduction. It can predict, and not only it's something that can predict before you make the decision, so allowing for informed decisions. Now we are talking about algorithmic bias, and accessibility is one of the topics that falls under this umbrella. We need to assess design tools, technology tools specifically for universal accessibility, because AI models are trained on US-centric data and might not work for diverse global environments, meaning that the results that it gives you may not be representative of other global environments or cultural context. An example can be the construction materials used for a certain region may not be applied for a different region. So the results you get are not something that you can use globally. We need to really enhance these workflows and tools. Diversity is another one that falls under this umbrella. And we need to evaluate the tools for biases in gender, race, age, demographic, as many again follow Western-centric approach. And some of them could potentially overlook or misrepresent the needs and perspectives of other demographics. A perfect example, as I was talking with my co-speaker here, is if you generate an AI image of, give me a classroom or an image of an architect, it immediately generates this idea of how an architect looks, and maybe excluding the gender. There's a lot of females in the industry as well, but typically it gives you just the idea of what an architect represents. And so we need to teach and to train these tools to give you better results that are more encompassing of reality. Sustainability, as I mentioned it before as well, we need to examine design tools for their ability to optimize designs for energy efficiency, material reuse, life cycle assessment, and embodied carbon reduction. Again, with a focus on predictive capabilities. All of this can be built into the tools. You can give it a life cycle, 10, 20, 30 years. You can also study data based on material circularity. If you want to reuse certain materials from a project into a new one, you can compare numbers of carbon footprint if you reuse something versus something that's produced from scratch. And so all of this gives us very, very smart. Lastly, under the algorithm, training databases is a huge investment, right? It is incorporating user feedback. So with that, you need to develop robust testing and evaluation procedures to identify and minimize biases in the output of the AI-powered design tools before deploying within your practice, before deploying it within the industry. We have, as I say, it's in the eye of the beholder. What is beauty? What is aesthetics? What is functionality? And it varies from region to region, from industry, right? And how we build that into our database of these tools there's a sensitivity to cultural and contextual factors that influence those perceptions. So we need to narrow down those the imposition of those design standards that might only apply to one region and not globally. And as someone deeply involved at the intersection of technology and architecture, I view this as a transformative tool with great potential to enhance our work. However, we need to be careful to approach it thoughtfully, recognizing the limitations, ensuring that human intelligence, creativity, and decision-making remain central to our workflows. AI enhances, not replaces human input. Now we'll pass it to Cesar, who will continue with the presentation.
Yeah, hi everyone. Let me share my screen here. And what I'm going to talk today is mostly about some reflections I've done around professional practice, standard of care, copyright, law infringement, and some recommendations on what we need to do to get involved. All right, AI is shaking things up in the world of architecture, is making us rethink how we consider standard of care. You see, we are prided from the professional skills and the care we provide to our customers and tailor solutions that are local, that respond to local conditions. But with AI, there's it's blurring those lines. When you think about it, when AI can generate hundreds of design options in seconds, what does that mean for architects? What does it mean professional skills? It's not just about drawing plans anymore. It's about understanding how to use these AI tools, not only effectively, but professional and with accountability. Another part of the standard of care, let's talk about same or similar locality. AI doesn't care about local boundaries, right? It can pull data from anywhere in the world, anything available online, potentially changing what we consider local practice. And then there's this question of consistency. Standard talks about ordinary services that are ordinarily provided by architects, but AI introduced a whole new level of variability. One architect might use AI very extensively, while another might stick to traditional methods. How do we define ordinary in this new context? And of course, we can't forget about liability. If AI generates a design that turned out to be flawed, who is responsible? The architect who used AI or the company who creates it? Those are tricky questions that we don't have clear answers yet. But AI is now pushing us to reconsider what it means to be an architect in the next century. It's exciting, but it's also we need to start thinking about the long-held standard of care and how can we adapt them for the future of practice. This is a prompt in JSON code that it aims to generate a design of a house inspired in Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright style emphasizes organic architecture, integrating buildings with a natural environment. The prompt captures key elements of the design, like low-pitch roof, horizontal lines, large windows, the use of natural materials, and it excludes elements that you want the algorithm to exclude in their representation, like malformed feature, poor defined elements, etc. This is how we generate design nowadays, and these are the results. And while AI can dream very cool imagery of Frank Lloyd Wright inspired houses, at the moment, few of these things might not really work. First, these AI images are great, but they don't consider the practical side of things, building code, material cost, how it actually going to hold up in real life. AI can be a bit of a copycat. It's great at mimicking styles like Frank Lloyd Wright, but it struggles to come up with something that is truly, truly original. Plus, these AI-generated images can be sometimes misleading. They might not accurately represent the size and the right proportion and how an actual space feels. Now, This is AI now, but as technology approaches, things might start changing. And as technology starts becoming smarter and faster and making predictions on program use, space, material, we're pretty soon going to see a change in how these designs are produced. And so at the intersection of AI and architecture, there is a complex landscape of intellectual property rights, exposing a lot of gaps between traditional copyright law and the reality of AI-generated design. We all are familiar with the Architectural Work Copyright Protection Act in 1990, that it was groundbreaking in the 90s, but now faces a lot of challenges as a result of AI-driven creativity in architecture. Copyright law has been anchored in human authorship with clear guidelines to protect the original architectural works. With the rise of AI, the design processes have blurred this line. Who owns the designs when an AI generates a new design? Is it the architect who input the parameters, that code, JSON code? Is it the software developer who created the AI? Or is it AI itself? There's a lot of debate on the topic, and a lot of the answer to these questions remain unanswered, in particular with the current legislation. The originality requirements is a cornerstone of copyright law, and it becomes very thorny with AI-generated design. How do we determine originality when an AI system has been trained by thousands of existing designs? This challenge extends to collaborative projects where humans and AI system work together. There's this hybrid output of creative process that doesn't nearly fit into legal frameworks. An example is Zaha Hadid. Patrick Schumacher has been very explicit in saying that most of their designs include a large AI-based workflows, like the images that you see in the upper right hand. So with our human author, how do we protect ourselves? International recognition has added another layer of complexity. While human-created architectural works enjoyed a lot of protection under various international treaties, there's no consensus on how we treat AI-generated outcomes across different countries or different borders. So this lack of uniformity could lead to potential flaws in architectural practice. There's an urgent need for setting up the legal framework to adapt to this new technology. This might involve redefining concept of authorship, originality, and collaboration in the context of AI. Clear contractual agreements regarding ownership of AI-generated design, detailed documentation, and design process are some of the tasks that we need to think about as we prepare for this technology. Let's look at, this is a quick reminder where we at as far as regulatory framework for AI in the United States. The United States lack a comprehensive federal legislation governing artificial intelligence. Instead, the regulatory landscape of AI is a patchwork of existing legislation, executive actions, and state-level initiatives. At the state level, the most concrete legislative action is are about 29 different bills related to AI regulations since 2020. These laws primarily address data privacy concerns and accountability of AI system. California, Colorado, and Virginia are at the forefront of this legislation, but establishing the regulatory framework that often focus on high-risk AI application and consumer protection is currently the biggest trend. The patchwork of regulation across the country has a significant implication for architecture. without a comprehensive federal legislation, we must navigate a complex landscape of state-level initiatives, executive actions, and existing laws applied to AI. And these regulatory environment create a lot of challenges, in particular in companies that are trying to adopt AI. And the lack of stringent federal oversight, which is actually allowing for a lot of innovation and experimentation in AI. It's making firms to remain really adaptable and proactive in their approach to AI implementation within their practice. California is a messy example. There's a lot of challenges in this state as far as regulating AI. In AEC, how we navigate a complex web of enacted and proposed legislation, it's a big challenge, particularly when we are trying to adopt new work processes. This regulatory environment may ultimately shape the competitive landscape of architecture. It's probably going to favor larger firms with their resources to navigate all these complex requirements, while it's going to be challenging for smaller and smaller practices with innovative solutions. Let's take in a rapidly evolving world of architecture and design, AI is opening new revenue stream opportunities. On the low end, there's some interest in generative design services, but the firms that are profiting from this are usually large firms with big resources and staff and skills to make this happen. The idea of an architect as a curator of hundreds of design options with the click of a button is exciting, but it's also perceived as reductive and detrimental to the profession. A lot of us argue that this approach overly simplified a complex and nuanced design process. But I think there's some potential. At the medium impact stream, I see a lot of interest in predictive maintenance. I mean, this idea that you can track of the input and output from a building and understand what the requirements for facility maintenance might be. Alongside of this, automation code compliance, it's going to save us a lot of countless hours in reducing errors and finding the right requirements for our projects. But I think on the high impact opportunities, AI-powered design optimization, I think is becoming a game changer. I think the ability to improve energy efficiency goals and sustainability goals, it's now a reality. It's not only about creating pretty buildings and leaving the performance to a specialist. It's about enhancing your ability to create smart and efficient structures that meet complex goal and complex criteria. The video you see on the screen, it's a clip of Autodesk Forma. It's a conceptual analysis tool that uses AI to predict performance analysis on a wide range of environmental factors. This particular analysis is noise analysis. It predicts the amount of decibels, heat in the ground and the surfaces based on data contained by the street, including density, time of day, speed limit. But this type of analysis, which used to be delegated to sound specialists or engineers, is the type of real-time feedback that we need to make informed choices from the very start. And this is an example where when working with tools that provide us the right feedback, we can create better outcomes, provide better solutions, and enhance our ability to talk with some authority about topics that previously were relegated to a specialist, and expand our ability to provide new services, a new stream of resource, new stream of income. This is another example. This is called semantic segmentation. And in the business of reality capture is the ability of AI to understand how to split point clouds. So AI, and this is actually a technology that is currently available, using AI can automatically identify, label, layer, and differentiate different elements captured by point clouds. It's like giving the machine eyes to understand what a table is, what a chair is, what a wall, what a ceiling, and what are the different what a deck, what the supply and return systems are. And this tech is making us easier to analyze site condition, track progress, and extend our ability to provide additional business value by offering owners, BIM services that previously were very hard to come by. All right, those are examples on how we can start garnishing the power of AI and creating new business opportunities. I mean, some suggested actions for our industry involve some call to action. I mean, the AIA just started to have a proactive approach on hosting discussion around AI. AI Chicago, for example, recently had a panel discussion on how artificial intelligence is going to impact architectural education, which is another topic we haven't addressed here, but it's examining how AI might change teaching method, professional practice, and certifications. However, I think there's a lot of room to fill the gaps. In particular, I think we as an industry need to get directly involved in how we develop an AI ethic guidelines, which provide a comprehensive set of normatives and how AI is going to be used in architecture, addressing very specific issues where we don't have answers, like what's data privacy, contracting, bias, and algorithms who are responsible for AI implementation. Get involved in AI-focused working groups, establish dedicated working groups that are focused on how AI responds to different areas of practice. An example, energy modeling, new predicting performance, facility management, project management. I think all different practices need to start talking about how you can accelerate innovation within those practices and how, in particular, we can influence the software industry to develop solutions that align with the way things are done in the field. Which collaborate with tech companies, forming this partnership with tech companies to develop architecture specific tools that are aligned with the way we work, and develop and create resources online that inform architects what is the state of AI in across board, what are best practices in the start and implementation of these new services, how to stay informed in the latest development in the industry in architecture. So with those recommendations, I think I reached the end of my share, and I might open this up to Q&A.
Thank you, Cesar and Argelia. We do have a couple of questions queued up in the Q&A, so we'll go ahead and bring these up. So one question is, what sorts of tools, processes are in place to help offset bias in AI? How can the profession champion those efforts?
I can answer that, and I can follow up. There are, as Cesar mentioned, collaborating with tech companies is a big one here. We have to partner with them because they may not be in the architecture industry. They are in the software development area. So they need our feedback. And sometimes in-house, some companies also develop their own tools. But so you need data scientists, one. The other one is you need design technology specialists in the architecture field and the software development people. It's I think it's teamwork. And it's also that these AI tools they output whatever you input into them. So they learn from what you give them in the prompts. You tell them, generate this for me. And then you can further train them by adding negative prompts, saying exclude this, exclude that, include this. So they learn from us. And that collaboration part, I cannot, I can emphasize it enough. We do have our knowledge community within AIA that we always welcome people to join if they're interested in learning more about it, because we do have people from outside of architecture who are developers and have their own companies. And Cesar, I'll let you give your point of view as well.
Yeah, I think the hard thing here is machine learns from the data is provided, and providing a diverse data collection is important to provide a fair representation of results, and ensuring the training data represent a wide spectrum of individuals, groups, society, cultures, styles. It's crucial for equity and representation. There are, I mean, from the tech side, there are some techniques like reweighting and data reprocessing that help the removal of unbalanced data sets. There's also some techniques of debiasing the data. But I think more importantly, I mean, those are technical aspects that I'm not very keenly familiar. But more importantly is to make sure that software companies abide to governance tools. And in the absence of governance and tools, we let them pretty much do or create new innovation without a lot of oversight, and getting involved as advocates on the governance guidelines that software developers must use in the creation of this innovation. It's critically imperative, and that's why I'm a strong advocate for us as an industry to develop these ethical guidelines, which I think I have an extra slide here that highlight some of the things we can start doing to have a very informed ethical framework, then we can use to influence legislation on our behalf and conversation with tool and software providers.
Great. The next question is how do we make AI take care of boring and mundane tasks such as cost estimation, specifications, drawings, QA, and code analysis, while leaving artistic part of architecture to architects? Currently, I see the opposite trend. AI hallucinates fast rendering, while architects are tasked to double check codes and estimates prepared by AI. I think the current trend is opposite of to how architects would like to use AI. Do you get the sense of what the question is there? I think it's probably just to wrap it up in a nutshell is how do what are considered perhaps, the less glamorous parts of the profession, how do those become more sort of accurate? And what this particular attendee is seeing is, that sort of the flashy fast renderings that are made available, but not necessarily optimal in terms of what the potential of AI is.
Yes, it's when industry people think of AI, they usually think of renderings immediately, right? Your mind goes to that first. There's so much more than that. There's, for example, the data, like I mentioned, the carbon numbers. That in itself saves you so much time with calculating based on your floor-to-floor height, based on how many floors you have in your building, the materials that you choose. That is a mundane task that would have taken you maybe weeks to days to come up with, but it is giving you something immediate, an immediate result early on in the design phase, right? We're talking about early on in this case. There are other tools that you can implement later on. So it's not just the renderings, which again shouldn't be. There has to be some transparency when you create any type of AI generated images, so that to the client that this was created using AI. But and reason why you shouldn't be using those for submitting them as a deliverable is because you need to create your own design. This is, see it as an idea, as an early on idea of what would it look like if I add this and that to the side with this building or these colors or this material. It's an idea, it's for ideation. It's not to deliver something to a client, if that makes sense, right? It's more as a design aid for you. And we know because a lot of these images generated do not meet code. You see some crazy designs, they might look beautiful, but they will not meet code. So that's my my 2 cents here.
Yeah, to complement your answer, Argelia, I think you just pointed at the direction of the current software trends. What I perceive from different software providers is that they are focusing on the things they can solve easily, and these are things that manipulate a lot of data and extract a lot of quantification from the multivariable optimization. Example, specification, quality control, cost estimation, code analysis. But let's not forget that these tasks are key components of the health and safety of the people we serve. And we cannot relinquish the final outputs of this analysis to the machine. And I think that's responsible and holding the standard of care of practice. Human supervision and human approval should not be delegated to the outputs offered by a machine learning tool. Then I believe also that, like Argelia said, the goal of this development is to allow you to focus on the things that matter, which is provide a beautiful, quality, and performative design solution that meets the owner requirements and meets sustainable goals. And I think that aspirational goal can be enhanced with your ability to use a lot of these tools. So I believe that the work of human creativity can be enhanced when you pair AIs as a tool instead of a replacement. And all these examples, that image generation and flashy images are outcomes of machine-generated vision. I believe that the tools need to evolve so that we can delegate segments and fragments of the design cycle to problems in the design arena that are difficult to achieve. For example, hacking programming inside a very constrained site, problems of connection, distance, and connectivity. Those are perfect things that a machine is able to reflect or enhance. And And then is our job as human creative individuals to devise a vision that is beautiful and it's aligned with all these performance requirements. So yes, I'm a big proponent of AI as a tool to enhance your capabilities, not as a tool that replace your creative vision.
Yeah, the mundane tasks are really important. I mean, there's so many tools out there right now that it's crazy to pick which one is correct for a specific scenario, right? And one may be good for one project versus the other, but speaking of mundane tasks, there are also tools that can help you with the program. You have specific programming to meet, and it will automatically go through your model and tell you you're exceeding the programming or you're not meeting the programming in certain areas. So that in itself, it's I would say a comparison to a QA/QC, where you're meeting it, where you're not. You can easily compare design options. And so those are examples of where this can be used to you do those tasks that really take up your time and you can focus on something else.
Great, thank you. So if you're setting up standards for integration of AI in your firm now, how would you start that conversation with your principals? What sort of guidelines would you focus on? It seems like the first step is maintaining data sets for past projects and firm data. Would you agree?
Want to take it first, Cesar?
Yeah, I think I would when it comes to AI implementation, and I'm not an expert in that field, I think the low-hanging fruit is anything that deals with the management of information and data, like you correctly establish protocol for collecting, storing, and managing data in a consistent manner. I mean, a very easy task. I think I was involved in this a few years ago. Is how to organize your marketing information. Very simple, but yet very practical type of AI implementation. Sort and auto tab pictures, organize them by different metadata, and be able to sort them easily when it comes to the creation of proposals. Another it might be is quality control and quality assurance. There are some integrations with Current Beam tools that provide levels of automation that access data across multiple projects, multiple hubs, and provide an insight on what the status of the different the health of the your modeling environment is within your organization. And the easy way to start conversation with principal to show them the ROI. Hey, principal care about the investments and the returns in efficiencies. And if you start the conversation, but having a proof of concept that demonstrate the amount of savings you get by implementing a new workflow, whether that is AI or any type of new technology, that is a big selling point. And then another thing is establishing spaces for having conversations about technology. I mean, back in the years I was in practice, this was, the Revit or the CAD groups where we just talk about that technology. And now I think there's a need to stay informed about what's happening on the AI front. Why not creating, a design automation user group within your firm? The only goal is to understand and share advancements in those areas and find opportunities for new products and tools that enhance the processes within your firm.
Yes, the ROI is important because they will always ask for that. And I know it might be difficult because it's all new for everybody. So the numbers might not be out there. It's also focusing on smaller milestones, like anything that you implement in a firm, right? It's similar to setting standards of any other type, but setting specific uh, goals of how you want to use this and do it maybe in a, I don't know, quarterly, half year goal of implementation. You do need to, before you get started, you need to research it and test it. So you need to create a small group within your firm of people who are testing, and if it's you or it's you and someone else, right? If it's even two people, just to compare results, to compare what would be good, or if there's anything anymore you want to follow. And that, yeah, that's always it also varies from company to company. I mean, us being in the technology and architectural practice in our community, we deal with people who are in small firms and big firms, and it varies tremendously from one to the other in the interest of one firm versus another. So there's no one solution for all. And I feel that also none of us are experts at this point as we are learning, you know, we of course are in this expertise of the industry, so we see it more, and we have a big network of people that are in the software development and also in the practice area. So we do get to collaborate with them, and that's the good side of it, right? That we provide input or we hear what they're doing. Yes, but the ROI is definitely a big one. The return on investment.
Also, let's remember that technology usually defines new opportunities for professional specialties. Both Argelia and I were practitioner designers who took technology as a path of specialization. So as design technology managers, we manage it being processes. Now, as AI is starting to emerge in architectural practice, there's a whole new set of the skills and professional paths that are probably going to be available near soon. I mean, the most recent one, you start see firms looking for design automation specialists or a computational AI designers.
Data specialist too.
Data management specialists. And these are new roles that are emerging as a result of managing or implementation of this new technology. And so stay open, in particular, if you're very passionate about technology, find the opportunity to craft your own path and be able to stay curious and test and prove value. I think that helps you move forward in this path of a specialty within architectural practice.
That's great. So Argelia, you mentioned working with various firm sizes. So there is sort of the perennial question of the gap for a small firm implementing technology versus your larger firms and medium-sized firms probably have a little bit more reach, but this has been going on since the days of AutoCAD. What recommendations do you have for small firms in turn, part of it's the economics of it, it's return on investment, but software can be costly. And what are your thoughts on how that gap perhaps gets closed, or how a small firm can actually be competitive? You both work at larger firms that have the resources with a lot of the potential departments that or specialties that are coming up. Just maybe some closing thoughts that we're in our last 5 minutes here. this presentation.
Yes, and coincidentally, when I started my BIM journey, when I started in the technology journey, I was in a small firm, and we implemented Revit. And so I saw that from a small firm, less than 10 people, I think we were. And I became the expert and I became the one training others. So like Cesar says, you kind of carve your own, but at the moment I wasn't planning on doing it, but that's how it happened, right? The company decided to invest in it and we went everyone got trained all at once. And so there was no, I'm not going to do it. Everyone was in agreement. And I think that's a big thing because sometimes, well, that part, the mentality of we're going to make this change, but also rely on your knowledge communities because there's people who are focusing on this, who are testing these tools. And so I know there's a vast number of things out there. You don't know which one to go for and which one to invest in. So if you talk to the communities, there's people like within ours that have used these and maybe in different projects and can compare, can give you the pros and cons of one versus the other. And it's not that one is the wrong tool, and it just might be that tool is not good for the specific use that you're looking for. So just rely on your extended network within the AIA because there are people who have expertise in those areas that can provide that the testing part of it, right? And okay, we've tested these. This is what each of these are.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like, perhaps an opportunity for a future panel with the design technology knowledge community, AI San Francisco, and perhaps even TAP, in terms of looking at that lens of the opportunities for small, medium, large
Yes, because I know
firms.
the budget is not there for for the smaller firms. There's not the budget for testing, right? Maybe the budget for implementing, yes, but not for testing. So that's when we can come in and be of help.
Great. Well, let's see, we've down to like the last 3 minutes. I don't see any other questions queued up. So maybe we just spend the next 3 minutes with your sort of some closing thoughts that you might have from each of you.
And just say be open to change. Test it. Don't be reluctant. It's evolution. We need to evolve, and I've never seen a a bigger interest in technology as there is now. And I think it's inherent in our industry. We have to embrace it.
And for me, I think I think it's important to stay aware and curious about how technology evolves. There's technology on AI changes so fast, so quickly, and so unpredictable. It's even for us who are I consider myself just an enthusiast. It's so hard to keep up on what's going on in the world of AI. But sharing knowledge and expertise, joining forums, staying subscribed to news, it's the way that I stay informed, attending conferences or participating in webinars like this. But more important is size the opportunity when it comes. The entry point of adoption of AI products is pretty low. If you think about what it takes to generate an image in Midjourney, it's even when you subscribe a professional to the professional level, it's far less than what you would do on subscription traditional software applications. Because the way AI focus on making and monetizing is by a large adoption, and so subscriptions to applications on AI are pretty low. adoption is very expensive. I mean, training new models and accessing to high quality data. It's a very expensive enterprise, and I don't think small firms can be or can have the resources to stay competitive at that level. But by identifying products that hit the market that can establish some opportunities on niche services, it can help you build your reputation as an expert in certain parts of the design process. Like I was saying, you could become the next. You can build a business about reality capture that is completely automated and with very low entry costs. Or another one that creates quality assurance controls and designs, or provide some advice, consulting, and project management.
Well, thank you so much for the engaging conversation and joining us. We are at time. Just a reminder to all attendees that you do have one AIA learning unit available to you, and AIA California will report that credit for you with your sign up. And we look forward to seeing you at our next presentations that are up and coming. Thank you all.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.